The question sounds dramatic, maybe even like clickbait, but it's not. This isn't just a theoretical debate in a political science class. It's a real scenario that militaries, governments, and intelligence agencies around the world are actively planning for. Why? Because if war erupts over Taiwan, it wouldn't just be a regional skirmish. It could ignite a global conflict involving the world's largest economies, deadliest weapons, and most advanced militaries. This is how it starts, and why no one can afford to ignore it. To understand why Taiwan matters so much, you have to go back, way back onto 1949. That's when the Chinese Civil War ended and the defeated nationalist government fled to the island of Taiwan. The Communist Party took control of mainland China. Since then, Beijing has viewed Taiwan not as a separate country, but as a breakaway province, one that must eventually be reunified with the mainland by force if necessary. This is not a political opinion. It's written into China's law. Meanwhile, Taiwan sees itself as a self-governing democracy with its own elections, military, economy, and borders. And the United States, while not officially recognizing Taiwan as a country, is bound by the Taiwan Relations Act to help it defend itself. In short, China wants Taiwan back. Taiwan wants to stay independent, and the US wants to prevent war, but is preparing to fight one if necessary. This is where it gets dangerous. China has spent the last 2 decades building a military specifically designed to take Taiwan and to keep the United States from intervening. It's called Anti-Access Area Denial. A 2/AD, think long-range missiles, cyber warfare, satellite jammers, naval mines, and hypersonic weapons that can sink aircraft carriers or target US bases in Guam, Japan, and beyond. The Chinese military, or PLA, now boasts the largest navy in the world by number of ships. Its missile arsenal is one of the most advanced on Earth, and it's training relentlessly for amphibious operations, the kind needed for a full-scale invasion of Taiwan. Taiwan, for its part, has transformed itself into a military porcupine. The island is rugged, mountainous, and difficult to land on. The Taiwanese military is investing in mobile missile systems, drones, anti-ship mines, and asymmetric warfare, strategies that don't try to outgun China, but to make any invasion so costly that Beijing thinks twice. And then there's the elephant in the room, the US military. For decades, the United States has followed a policy of strategic ambiguity, refusing to say whether it would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese attack. But that ambiguity is fading. In recent years, US presidents, including Joe Biden, have repeatedly stated that the US would in fact defend Taiwan. Meanwhile, the US Navy conducts regular freedom of navigation patrols through the Taiwan Strait. American and allied aircraft fly near Chinese airspace. And the Pentagon has begun reconfiguring its force posture in the Indo-Pacific for a potential war with China. Let that sink in. The world's 2 most powerful nations are preparing for the possibility of fighting each other over one island. But would China really do it? That depends on 2 things, timing and perception. Right now, the Chinese leadership sees a window of opportunity. The US is politically divided. The war in Ukraine has stretched American attention and resources. And Taiwan's next presidential elections could bring a leader more openly pro-independence. From Beijing's perspective, waiting too long could mean facing a stronger, better armed Taiwan, backed by a more united Western alliance. Acting now or soon might be the best shot, but here's the catch. A war over Taiwan wouldn't be a local affair. It would be a global shockwave. Japan has said it would consider a Chinese attack on Taiwan a threat to its own national security. Australia has signed new military pacts with the US and UK under the AU-KUS agreement. India, already in a tense standoff with China along the Himalayas, would have to calculate its position, and NATO, while not obligated to respond, might still be pulled into the economic and cyber fallout. This isn't just speculation, it's wargaming reality. In almost every Pentagon simulation of a Taiwan conflict, the outcome is catastrophic for both sides. US bases in Japan and Guam come under missile attack. Chinese ports and airfields are bombed. Naval battles erupt in the Pacific. Trade collapses. The global economy plunges into chaos. Semiconductor supplies, most of which come from Taiwan, are disrupted, crippling everything from smartphones to fighter jets. And once the war starts, no one knows how to end it. Let's pause here. If you've made it this far, you're clearly really serious about understanding global conflict, so make sure you're subscribed. This channel brings you hard analysis, not hot takes, and it's only just beginning. Now back to the nightmare. Could nuclear weapons be involved? That's the unspoken fear. China has around 500 nuclear warheads and is rapidly expanding its arsenal. The US has over 5,000. Neither side wants to escalate to that level. But in a fast-moving war, accidents happen. Miscommunication, miscalculation, one wrong move, one false radar signal, and the unthinkable becomes reality. But maybe it doesn't start with bombs at all. Maybe it starts with a blockade. China surrounds Taiwan, cuts off its trade routes, jams its satellites, launches cyber attacks, and dares the world to respond. No shots fired at first, but the pressure builds. The US sends a carrier group. China responds with missile tests. Tensions escalate, and before long, someone blinks or shoots. That's how wars start in the 21st century, not with declarations, but with decisions. So what can stop it? Deterrence, diplomacy, detangling the global economy from conflict triggers. Right now, Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the most advanced chips. That's an insane dependency in a potential war zone. The US and its allies are trying to build redundancy, but it takes time. And until then, Taiwan remains a tech bottleneck and a geopolitical flashpoint. Here's the bottom line. The risk of war over Taiwan is real and rising. It won't happen tomorrow. It might not happen this decade, but all the ingredients are there. Rising nationalism, military buildup, global mistrust, and a fragile balance of power. And when the world has seen this mix before, it usually didn't end well. Which brings us back to the question, could World War III start with Taiwan? The answer is yes. Not because anyone wants it, but because too many believe they can win it. And that's the most dangerous illusion of all. Don't forget to check the links in the description for maps, expert sources, and real-time updates on the Taiwan Strait. And if you want to stay ahead of global military shifts, subscribe now. This isn't the last war we'll talk about, but it might be the one that defines the century.